This game's on the Game Gear. It's a port of a Genesis game that I really, really like, and I think this is decent on the Game Gear. It has almost all the content of the Genesis version, but there's really no reason to play this day because you can play like Genesis games on the go. So, still, it's Road Rash. So I have so many flipping Game Gear games, guys. Like I said, I bought like almost an entire Game Gear set from a woman, and I'm like working my way through it. So when the game picks like, or when my system picks like random handheld games for me to play, it picks a lot of Switch and a lot of Game Gear, because that's what I have more of than anything else. I played this game many, many times on the Genesis. It's a lot of fun. This is my first time playing it on the Game Gear. As you can see, it's just a motorcycle racing game where you basically like punch your opponents off their bikes and try to avoid getting caught by the cops and getting arrested. It's okay. You win money for winning the races or placing in the races, and you use that to like buy better bikes that you move up like in leagues, and the races get harder and harder and harder. Although the way I always did as a kid, I would just stay in like the first or second league and just like keep racing over and over and over again to like grind out money till I got the very best motorcycle, and then just smash through the game. So, as we all know, man, sorry guys, my voice, I'm just like, it's killing me. Anyway, the Genesis is a 16-bit console, and Road Rash looks pretty decent on it. The Game Gear is an 8-bit console, so it has been like, you know, compressed down to work on this system, but it still looks pretty decent. It looks pretty good. You can tell it's Road Rash. They've done like weird chiptune, 8-bit chiptune renditions of the different songs from the Genesis version of the game. They're kind of funny in a bad way, but we'll just say they're enthusiastic representations of their Genesis counterparts. They did the best they could. Like I said, it's a pretty decent port. It has, I think, basically all the content from the Genesis game, and it's better than it has any right to be. And you know, but they're like, you can play Genesis games on the go now on an emulator or like a Sega Nomad or whatever you want to do, or you know, so there's not much reason to play this because the Genesis version is better. And this does have a much lower frame rate, as you can see. It can be a little hard to control, and it's kind of choppy. I feel like they did that to help with the motion blur on the Game Gear. If you've never seen a Game Gear game, guys, like that screen is almost impossible to make out what's going on. It's just a blurry mess. Here on the emulator, I've cleaned that up, but it still doesn't look great. And it is a little hard to control. I'm playing worse on the emulator than I did like playing it in real life. And like I said, I don't have any way to record Game Gear other than playing on an emulator. So you're watching me give like a half-hearted effort here rather than trying to like do a good job. But so far, the handful of Game Gear games I've played in my life, I would say this is like the best game I've played on the Game Gear, yet I would still stick to the Genesis version. So Road Rash on the Game Gear, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's like I said, it's the best Game Gear I've played thus far, but the Genesis version is just better. So play that one. There's really no reason to seek this one out unless you're just trying to like collect all the Road Rash stuff or just get a big Game Gear collection.